dive straight in.
And I'll, excellent.
But
Good.
thank you. This is a lovely initiative that you and Dr. Mandar have started, and really appreciate that you could make us a part of it.
This is all thanks to Mr. Prasad Vaidya. He's our rock star here. He thinks of all good ideas, and it's so important. So
Right,
actually, big thank you to him and to you guys for accepting.
Okay. Don't you? Okay, let me introduce. No, not that.
Yes. Welcome everyone, and good morning, and thank you for joining webinar. Myself Prasad Vaidya, who is a program coordinator, introducing today's faculty. Dr. Mandar Nadkarni, who is a consultant surgical oncologist at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, Mumbai, and Dr. Kanchan Kaur, Director Breast Surgery at Vedanta Hospital, Gurugram. I request Dr. Mandar Nadkarni to introduce Mr. Luke. Over to Dr. Mandar Nadkarni.
Dr. Mandar, you are on mute.
Mandar, you're on mute. Sorry.
Am I audible now?
Now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So it's an honor and a privilege to introduce Mr. Luke Coutinho. Luke Coutinho is a globally renowned holistic lifestyle coach in the field of integrative medicine and the founder of Luke Coutinho Holistic Healing Systems Private Limited. Luke's approach towards prevention and healing revolves around 4 important pillars: balanced nutrition, adequate exercise, quality sleep, and emotional detoxification. His programs work across preventive medicine as well as many specialties like cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular, autoimmune diseases, and many others. All his work has positively impacted the health of children and adults to achieve their health and wellness goals. So with this small introduction, I would like Luke to take over now. Please, Mr. Luke Coutinho, for all of us. Let's enjoy the next 45 minutes, all of us.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you. Okay, so I think, can I just talk for about 2-3 minutes before y'all start asking me questions?
Sure.
Yes, that's great, Doctor. So no, it's a privilege to be here. I'm more happy because, you know, I think doctors across the world and our own country, like you all, are recognizing the importance of lifestyle along with treatment. That is something that we've been seeing in every corner of the world, where we have the best medicine available today. And it can be more effective if people also change their lifestyles. You know, we see the efficacy of chemos and radiations improving when people also rest the right way, they exercise the right way, they put the right nutrition in their body. We've been in the field of integrative medicine, and I know that's a pretty new concept in India, so I wanted to take a minute to explain it. You know, there is alternative medicine, which is Ayurveda, homeopathy, Unani, and integrative is not a system of medicine that is against allopathy. It works very well with allopathy. You know, if someone needs chemo, they have to do it. If someone needs radiation surgery, they have to do it. But they also have to change their lifestyle. You know, certain effects today, primary, secondary cancers also happen because patients, they take the medication, they go in remission, but they go back to their old lifestyle. You know, and if they don't change their lifestyle, there is going to be a secondary or a metastatic cancer that happens. So in integrative medicine, we work with doctors. In fact, our whole team, we have a whole medical vertical that works very closely with patients to manage their treatments better and to also invest in managing the side effects and possibly prevention. Doctor, over to you, please, for you to start asking me questions that you may have.
Good morning. Thank you so much. So, you know, you started off by reinforcing what I was going to say is that, you know, because we are going to be primarily talking about cancer, and that too breast cancer. Even the best experts in the world don't know why breast cancer happens in most women. But we do know that it is a lifestyle disease. And sad statistics are that in India, it is one of those cancers which is rapidly on the rise. And more than 80% women in India will present with late disease, with disease that has already spread in their body. And also another sad statistic is that a lot of patients, out of fear of the treatments, will actually sit at home. So I tell them it's not the fear of the cancer that keeps you away, it's the fear of the treatment that keeps you away. And we know that 80% of our patients, we did a little survey, did look at other therapies, integrative therapies, holistic medicine. So I think that is where the importance of having somebody who understands that this has to work hand in hand with allopathy. So our knives and our injections are as important as the treatments that you talk about. So just wanted to ask you that women who have breast cancer and are undergoing treatments, what kind of symptoms do they come to you for, to help relieve?
Okay. So, Doctor, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think today the media has built a fear of cancer treatment in people's minds. And the earlier we're able to diagnose this and the earlier we're able to start the treatments, the better it is for the patient. So we're trying to just create education and awareness across the country that don't wait until it's too late, because then possibly your treatment's going to be more and more intensive. Now, about 6 years ago, I was at Sloan's in New York, and I was just sitting because I had a lot of time before my flight back to India. And I was just trying to correlate all the commonalities that we've seen in breast cancer patients. I'm going to use the word breast cancer because that's what we're focusing on today. Now, what I'm going to say is not your primary cause of cancer. We have to understand cancer is a multifactorial disease. There are many, many things that work together to cause it, right? From a gene mutation to the environment, to pollutants, to everything. But at the same time, I want to take away fear from people where people think that, oh, pesticides cause my cancer, air pollution causes my cancer, stress alone causes my cancer. I don't think we should believe that right now. It is part of it, because all of us are breathing the same air, we're eating the same food, then all of us should have cancer, but we don't. So we need to understand it's multifactorial, because then that makes us realize the importance of our lifestyle in the possible cause of a cancer. Like you rightly said, it's a lifestyle disease. And I would like to add that breast cancer is also an inflammatory condition, which means the root cause of this particular cancer is inflammation in the body, which is not managed well over the years. So the 4 commonalities that we saw in almost all of our patients, and till that year, I think we had seen over 6,000 patients of ER positive breast cancer and triple negative. And 4 things that clearly stood out. Now, it doesn't have to be with your case when I'm talking to people, but these are the commonalities we've seen. One was chronic constipation over the years. And when we broke that down in medical studies, we found a relation of estrogen and constipation as well. And that's how you relate pre and postmenopausal women with extreme constipation because of the fluctuation of progesterone and estrogen. And we noticed, because when we diagnose with our patients, we spend a lot of time trying to address what the possible root cause could be, so we can work in that direction. Of course, you take the chemo, do the surgery, take the radiation as it is recommended by your doctors, but we like to look for a root cause so we can change that. So if I know like smoking or tobacco is a cause of lung cancer, we need to address that as well. The patient just can't keep taking treatment. We need to address a behavioral change. So constipation was one of them, chronic constipation. And I think it makes a lot of sense to us, because what happens in a constipated body? We're keeping waste in our body, which is not supposed to be there. That leads to gases, that leads to a change in our microbiome and our microbiota. It leads to a hormonal imbalance, and it leads to inflammation, number 1. Number 2, okay, we all know that disease today, we take away a lot from Ayurveda. Ayurveda works on the concept of a clean body. A clean body cannot have disease. If I'm holding waste in my body for more time than required, I am keeping toxicity at its highest level. So constipation came out as one commonality that I see even till this particular date. So we work on constipation. We try to address their constipation while the doctors are working with the medical treatment. Number 2 is acidity. I think India is a country which has learned to live with acidity by mindlessly popping antacids and never looking at correcting the problem. Now, if I have acidity tomorrow, I would take an antacid if I have to as an SOS. But at some point, I want to find out, why am I getting constantly acidic? Because we need to understand that an antacid works on reducing the stomach acid production, which is required for the breakdown of proteins in our body into amino acids. It is required to kill certain bacteria like H. pylori, which if it exists in our body for a longer period of time leads to inflammation and then the whole connection. So we saw that chronic acidity was an issue, but we also saw people trying to jump onto these alkaline diets, which is equally wrong. It's got to be a balance of everything because the body has its own intelligence to regulate a decent pH. Okay, the third was sleep deprivation. And today we have medical science showing us statistics of studies done on human beings, not on rats, of how sleep deprivation and breast cancer are directly correlated with one another. So I think we'll break that down later. So we saw sleep deprivation. And again, while we diagnose with patients, these are the things that people have. And the fourth one was emotional distress. Now, I'm not here to say that stress is going to cause cancer, but chronic stress has a correlation with every single disease on this planet. And again, let's break it down scientifically because everything I'll talk today, I want people to understand. When we understand, we apply. When we're just told that something's bad for us, we never do it. So what happens in a woman's body? I'm going to talk about only a woman today because we're talking about breast cancer, although males should also be careful because we have a lot of males getting breast cancer today. So what happens when a woman gets stressed or a human being gets stressed? Okay, we produce cortisol and adrenaline as a response. Okay, and that's good for us. The problem is if cortisol and adrenaline stays elevated, progesterone falls, estrogen shoots up, testosterone falls. This is all okay to help us through a short period of time. But like I said, if you're chronically stressed, you chronically have elevated cortisol and adrenaline, you chronically have an excess of estrogen in your body, which we can correlate with ER positives, endometrial, ovarian cancers, and all of these things, and drops of testosterone in prostate cancers. But again, like I said, chronic stress is something else that we've seen. Now, breaking it further down to Indian women, what we've realized in our diagnosis is there are a lot of women who are carrying extreme emotional trauma from a young age in their lives. You know, we've seen child abuse, we've seen rapes as children happening, and they've never been able to speak. Now, you see, when we have a negative emotion in us, if we're not able to express it and we suppress it, what does it do? It creates this havoc, like I explained, with your hormones, and two, your immune system. That's why any doctor can tell you today, stress makes you sick. When you ask them, how does it make you sick? By compromising our immune system. So these are four commonalities, and that further breaks down into a sedentary lifestyle, because when you're stressed out, the last thing you're going to do is want to exercise. Wrong eating habits. When we're stressed out, what do we like eating? Sugary carbs, sugar, junk food. So you see, it's a vicious cycle, and that is lifestyle. So these are commonalities that we've seen. We've also seen very strong genetic cancers. But today, we like to tell people not to give up on them because there's something called epigenetics. All of us, you, me, we have good genes and bad genes. It takes off the wrong environment to trigger and manifest a bad gene into the worst possible cancer. And sometimes, no matter how good you are with your health, that gene may still express itself into a cancer. But we always know by understanding this knowledge that there is always something that can be done over and above your treatment. A lot of people come to us and say, Luke, we don't want to do chemo, we don't want to do radiation, we just want to do diet. And we tell them, I'm sorry, diet alone is not magical enough. Diet is a support to your treatment. Sleep is a support to your treatment. You know, so we have to be very careful when we do all of these things. Yes, there is a stage where chemo and radiation doesn't work anymore. You move into palliative and you can use a lot of lifestyle. But what happens when you start integrating your medical treatment with lifestyle right at the start? The results are phenomenal. We see it every single day. We have doctors across the world who have embraced integrative medicine because, you know, you can manage the side effects. You can prepare your body for the next chemo cycle. You can prepare your body and your mind for the next radiation cycle. So then you're not just left with a medical treatment as your only hope. It's part of your treatment, but there's a lot more that you know you have that you can do to come out of these. So just before I end this particular answer, I have been studying the life of cancer patients for the last 7 to 8 years of people who have survived cancer. Because for me, what are they doing different? Everyone's getting the same treatment, same kind of cancer. Some people survive, some people don't. Some people come out without side effects, some people do. And you know, when you study these, we've done a lot of videos we've interviewed these people. It's what I'm talking about. People made changes in their lifestyle. They all took the treatments, which is a must. But they made changes. They got out of toxic relationships. They got out of toxic jobs. They started to exercise. They started to clean up their diets. They started to sleep better at night. So, you know, all of these things. I can't say today, I'll be lying to you if I said there's a magic diet that works for cancer. There is no magic diet. There is no magic food. There is no magic exercise. There is no magic meditation or pranayama. But the concept and the fundamentals, when we put it together, You enable the intelligence in your body to heal you, to help you recover, to help you get better. We all know, all of us, doctors, all of us know, we never heal anyone. The body heals you. We empower the body. The chemotherapy enables the body. Nutrition enables the body. But finally, only your body can actually do the right healing for you.
I think that was really excellently put. You know, I'd read somewhere that for good health, you can't buy it, you can't rent it. You really have to earn it. And that's so true. And, a lot of women, when they're diagnosed with breast cancer, and, I also wanted to just put forward this fact that sadly in India, we see a large proportion of younger women with breast cancer. So whereas in the West, it's mostly a postmenopausal disease, breast cancer in India happens a decade earlier. So our women have breast cancer peaking at between 40 and 50. So, when you get diagnosed in your young age with breast cancer, you're worried it's going to change your life. But I tell my patients, I've seen so many women who adopted this changed lifestyle. They're actually the healthiest they have ever been post a diagnosis of cancer. So I think that is extremely important to understand. So the next question I wanted to ask you was, after we have done our damage with our toxic medicines and radiation and the side effects that sadly I don't think allopathy has too many good answers for. How do you get about this? If you can also teach us something with regards to this.
Sure. So I think allopathy, I think everyone sees allopathy as highly negative, like it's causing damage to the body. See, allopathy is doing what it's designed to do, to treat the symptom. Now, with every treatment of a symptom, there is a side effect, which can be taken care of in very, very simple ways. Like I said, there's no magic diet. So for example, let's understand chemotherapy for a breast cancer patient. Why do some patients get constipated? Why do some get the opposite symptom of loose motions? It depends. Chemo, as we understand, is depleting almost every class A vitamin and amino acid. So if I'm depleting too many of my B vitamins, I'm going to have loose motions. If I am depleting my B vitamins, maybe just the B6 and the B12, I'm possibly just going to be constipated. So through my foods, if I'm able to put the B vitamins back in, or the doctor prescribes a B complex, for example, which they usually do, we can handle that effect. A lot of the constipation and diarrhea is also caused because of the fear of the treatment. Also, unfortunately, the treatment causes people to feel less thirsty. So if I decrease my water intake, I have more constipation. At the same time, I don't have an appetite because I get nauseous or I get a metallic feel in my mouth. So I don't eat. If I don't eat, I don't get my fiber. So you see, it's very simple when you break it down. We don't need complex vitamins and minerals during chemo. I'm against that because some of them actually affect the efficacy of the chemo. A lot of people try to take antioxidants during the treatment and they don't understand it is affecting the efficacy of the chemotherapy, because any chemotherapy is designed to work on fast dividing cells. And antioxidants are supposed to neutralize that effect. So we want people not to take supplements during their chemo and their radiation without the doctors knowing, because you are definitely reducing the efficacy of the treatment. But you can get antioxidants through your natural foods. So your fruits, your vegetables, which are well cooked or which are well steamed, your nuts. In India, we have so many beautiful foods which are locally available, which are rich in antioxidants. So we try to put that into their systems and manage it better. Then we try to align their sleep timings. Have you ever noticed in a perfectly healthy body, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing that we naturally do is have the urge to pass a motion. That is connected with your sleep cycle, the circadian rhythm. When we follow that cycle, we automatically poop the right way. But let's say we stayed up tonight watching Netflix till 2 or 3 in the morning. You may not pass your motion at the same time the next day because we've upset the natural rhythm of the body. So we try to align people just back to nature. There is no magic herb out there and stuff like that. Yes, we like to put more fiber. Protein is extremely important for the recovery post-chemo and radiation. But one of the biggest mistakes people make is they try to have too much of protein at one time. You see, protein is the building block of every cell in the human body, including your cancer cells. So if your doctor requires you to have 100 grams of protein, yes, we want you to have 100 grams of protein, but we want to space it out through the day. We don't want you to have 40 grams of protein at one time. Number one, you're not going to assimilate it. You don't have the enzymes because chemo would have depleted a lot of your enzymes, which is why we try to get you to eat healthy. So, it really comes down to simplicity. Like, I would be lying to you if there's a magic diet to take away your chemo side effects, but there's a lot that you can do. We prepare the body. So between your cycles of chemotherapy, we know that the platelets fall, we know that the white blood cells fall, and we know that there are several foods that can help you boost it up. And of course, if that doesn't work, you take the injections that you have to do. So side effects, it's really dependent on the drug. Once we know the drug, once we know the chemo, and the amount of cycles that the patient is going through, we understand what the medical side effects are. So we automatically start putting those nutrients into their body. Most side effects, and let me tell you this is from my observation, and I'm sure the doctors would have observed this. A lot of patients who Google their side effects before hitting the chemotherapy, they experience it. We have to understand the power of the mind. I've had patients where the families have ask the doctors not to tell the patients they're going through chemo. So they're just getting intravenous and stuff like that because they don't want the family, the patient to know. And a lot of these patients never really go through any of the side effects. So we have to understand the power of the mind. In fact, about 4 months ago, just before 5 months, 7 months before lockdown, I had a patient from Kokila Ben, a 75-year-old woman who came in with the family. The family said, Luke, she's on a 30th cycle of chemotherapy. Okay, but she doesn't know she's getting chemotherapy. She thinks she's getting multivitamins. We don't want to tell her because, we feel she'll give up. And then they brought the patient in. She was a 75-year-old woman, jovial, laughing. Like you couldn't tell she's gone through 30 cycles of chemo. 0 side effects. I don't believe that this is impossible. She didn't know she was getting something like chemo. All of our patients Google extra. I would advise you all, ask your doctors. Your doctors will tell you what the possible side effects are. But if you Google, you're not getting relevant information. You're getting opinions of people that creates more fear in you. And there was a study done in Yale about 9 years ago where patients were given placebos. Okay. And they were told, there was a group which thought they were getting a chemotherapy, but they were getting a placebo and they lost their hair. Okay. Getting a placebo, not getting chemotherapy. We need to understand the power of the mind when it comes to chemo. So if you're getting chemo, you've decided to take it. Don't look at it as something negative. Okay. Do not look at chemo, radiation, and surgery as something negative. When you look at anything in life negatively, it's going to have a negative impact on you. You've decided to take the treatment. Embrace it. Take it positively. The side effects you can manage. Look at chemo as something that is going to make you better, or radiation as something that's going to make you better, or food that's something's going to make you better. If you look at it as negative, you're just going to have every negative effect that comes along with it. So the mind plays a beautiful role with symptoms and the side effects. And side effects can be managed beautifully with quality sleep, meditation, pranayama, the right foods. The right foods. If you're going to eat the wrong food after a chemo session, you're going to put so much of stress on your digestive system, which also regulates your hormones, your immunity, your bowel movement, and everything else. So when we're sick, we have to make the right changes of lifestyle to support our treatment and to improve the efficacy of our treatment as well.
Excellent. So while that's very important, all the things that you mentioned. It's at the end of the day, I've practiced in the West and I'm practicing in India, and what I've realized is that the fear that is created around treatments and their side effects actually make patients have more side effects than they really
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
Also, I want to just quickly point out here, the things that you're mentioning about supporting, with vitamins during treatment. It has to be done with somebody like yourself or somebody who is trained and understands this, because as you said, with Google out there, I know patients Google all sorts of funny and weird things, and this alkaline diet and trying to go on alkaline foods, and they actually end up having more side effects. Because they don't understand that it is not just about popping the 10 anti-cancer vitamins that, Google, when you search, it gives you a list of 10 anti-cancer vitamins. So that's very important to understand. And I think this point about mindset that you spoke about, is also very important. So side effects of treatment are not just taken away by more treatments. It's the mindset that plays a huge role. So you've covered that beautifully. Thank you so much. Now, when somebody has cancer, and also because we're seeing so many younger girls with cancer now, and we always get asked, is there something they can do from a younger age to reduce their risk of developing a disease like this in future? So is there something related to lifestyle which is specific to risk reduction when it comes to breast cancer?
Absolutely. And my answer will be applicable to every possible disease and every kind of cancer as well. So number one, what we're seeing in young girls today, look at the amount of PCOD that's happening. There's a huge connection with the possibility. I'm not saying a cause, because of estrogen involved again. But most young girls take a symptomatic treatment immediately, either oral contraceptives, which you should take if your doctor's prescribed it. But you should also understand what is causing a hormonal imbalance, which is your stress levels, your lack of sleep, junk food, all of this stuff. When we look at prevention, it is the 4 pillars. I'm for everyone to enjoy their life and have a beautiful life and stuff, but in balance. 10% junk, 90% wholesome foods. Because we have to understand cancer originates from a cell. What are the chief requirements of a cell? Oxygen and nutrients that we eat. So we either feeding disease or we're feeding prevention. It's as simple as that. What we eat, I think the best motivation for people is, I don't like to tell people don't eat junk, don't drink Coca-Cola. I like to tell them, whatever you're eating, just think it is feeding your cells. Okay, so you're either feeding your cells with the right material or the wrong material. So I think when it comes to young women, especially like you said, we've noticed that as well. Stress is a major factor because it is playing a huge role in estrogen, a huge role. And if you look at the younger generation of cancer, they're mostly coming out to the ER positives. Most of them. Triple negatives are slightly on the rarer case. When it comes to 30s and 40s, it's mainly ER positives. And when you break down the lives of these women, the stress is intense. And I understand we're living in a world where stress at that age is huge today. But can we do something about it? Absolutely, yes. We have to invest in ourselves, in our meditation practices, in our spiritual practices. We have to stop comparing ourselves with everyone else because we're trying to take on more and more work, more and more responsibility because everyone's doing it, so we think we have to do it. But that's not the definition of success. Sometimes you got to step back. If I am compromising my food, my exercise, my sleep, and my emotional wellness for something bigger in life, okay, I am going to get sick one day. But what if I could achieve everything I want in life and maintain my health? 30 minutes of exercise a day, whether you dance, whether you walk, at least get 3 meals Monday to Friday, right? Saturday, go out, enjoy yourself, eat a little bit of junk. That's fine. Sleep, at least Monday to Friday, try to get your quality sleep. Friday night, Saturday night, watch your Netflix, go out after lockdown. Everything's in balance, but people are doing it every day. Most meals are coming from outside. We know today, food in a restaurant is designed to taste good. What ingredients do you use to make food taste good? More sugar, more salt, more MSG, and more colorings. It's as simple as that. So do it in balance. But stress, I can tell you right now, if I had to put a percentage of my data alone, 99% of my patients, they know today, they admit, Luke, I know my cancer is caused because of this very stressful event I went through in life. They say it. They say it themselves when we break it down. They say because around this time, we ask a simple question, what was going on in your life 6 months to a year before you got diagnosed with your primary cancer? We go that far because cancer just doesn't happen overnight. And there is an emotional traumatic event, something like a very bad breakup, a divorce, property matters, death of a loved one, which they've been unable. See, now tragedy is going to hit all of us. It's not a perfect world, but we have to anchor ourselves emotionally. We are emotionally soft in the world today, and we let our emotions get the better of us. And that stimulates our hormones to behave erratically. So prevention for me is simple. Enjoy your food, but keep it simple. Eat it the right way. Eat it at the right time. Do not eat too fast. You create more acids and more digestive issues. Number 2, exercise. Okay, let's not use the word exercise. Movement. Dance for 30 minutes. That's great exercise. Go out for a walk. Spend time in nature. Sleep. At least Monday to Friday. Get quality sleep. It's not the quantity. It's not 7-8 hours. It's the quality. There are people who sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired. There are people who sleep 6 hours, but deep sleep, they wake up fresh. It is the quality of sleep. And when it comes to your emotional wellness, break it down. Break it down. If our physiological state is to be happy, and if we're constantly moved away from happiness, we create emotional disease in our bodies. So be it the meditation, be it deep breathing, be it pranayama, be it your spiritual practice, have something that can anchor you in today's world. Everyone is connected outwards. We have to start connecting inwards because that is our anchor. It helps us make the right decisions about things in life. So these are my 4 pillars of prevention. There is pollution, there is pesticides and food, all of that exists around. But if you invest in these 4 pillars, we become stronger to manage polluted air and pesticides in our food. The answer is not moving to an organic diet. I have loads of people eating organic and they still have cancer because they've neglected the other verticals. So prevention is the investment in the intelligence in our body that is looking after us right now. When you didn't have cancer, what was looking after you? Your immune system, some intelligence in your body that yet no expert in this world understands. Invest in that through the 4 pillars.
So I think, Luke, the things
Doctor, I have to add one more thing. Get your screenings done on time. Your screenings are very, very important, extremely important on time. Early detection is a savior.
Thank you for saying that. That's very important. But, the things that you mentioned, especially with stress, it's it's very easy to tell somebody, don't take stress.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, our lifestyles are such that, you know, that it's you can change your diet, you can change your lifestyle, but stress is something that, you know, because of your relationships or because of whatever your social
Correct.
condition is. So I think it's very important. What I feel is that, you know, these kind of things need to be taught from school, from a young
Absolutely.
age, you know, so that a kid growing up has those defense mechanisms to deal with things like this. In fact, very quickly, my son had a school related event called food yoga, where they were supposed to take an apple and do mindful eating,
Mindful
you know,
eating.
close
Yeah.
their eyes and go from when it was a seed to when it became a tree. So I found that thing very moving. You know, I think we all need to kind of touch base with that. I do want to talk about when we are talking about reducing risk factors, you know, we are asked about dairy and cosmetics. I think that
Yes.
will kind of hijack the entire talk for the moment. Should we just move on and then we can probably come back to that? I just wanted to, you know, because emotional healing is such an important part of healing, you know, when you're talking of holistic healing. For patients with breast cancer, especially, I keep going back to young girls with breast cancer. What is your plan of holistic healing for such women?
From the emotional point of view,
From
doctor?
the emotional point of
Yeah.
view, yes.
So see, I think it's a very emotional event for a woman. We can never take away the pain that they're going through, the psychological pain of, you know, especially if it's a breast removal or, you know, anything like that. So we definitely recommend them to go for counseling, definitely. And I'm not talking psychiatrist and, you know, all of that stuff. They just need counseling. They need someone who can, you know, hear their fears out, someone who can put them on the right path, someone who can explain to them that today there is so much of advancement in medicine that, you know, entire breasts can be rebuilt again and all of those things. But counseling is important. But more than that, what we do is we ask them to start connecting inwards. See, I'll tell you what, doctor, you know, we've attended sessions around the world on stress management. Like you said, it's easy to tell everyone not to be stressed. In my practice, it comes down to two things for anyone. And everyone can do this exercise right now. Think of anything that you're going through right now in your life that stresses you out. Anything, whether it's a person, it's a disease, it's your business, it's money. When we reflect on these things, if we can apply two of these words, acceptance or letting go, again, easy to say, but difficult to do. But when the ego and the pride is down, when we really connect, if I can truly accept something, acceptance is so powerful because when I accept, it allows me to move to action. If I don't accept, I'm stuck in the negative emotion. If I can let go, it also allows me to move to action. Most people are stuck in a problem. They're stuck in a negative emotion. So I have a young girl, I'll talk to you about it. She's 19 years old, genetic case, had to go through complete surgery and stuff like that. Post-surgery, she's saying, you know, there was a power that built my body. I believe my body can be built again. So much of affirmation in her mind. And what's stopping her from dreaming? It is possible in today's world. Your body can be rebuilt itself. So, you know, I think fear is a lie and an illusion that we build on into a further lie and an illusion. It's okay. I want people to feel the emotion of their disease. I want them to feel their fear. But at some point, accept, okay, this has happened to me. Now, what can I do? You can wish and intend it never happened. You can wish and intend that the future is better. But now I have to move to action. Do I have the best doctors, the best team, family support? This is what I want to do, and I am going to get out of it. So we have to understand that no amount of meditation can bring you peace in the 1 hour, but we have to take action from meditation. That, okay, let me put my ego and pride aside. Let me accept this now. Let me, whatever, and move to action. So with young girls, we try to tell them, and a lot of body image issues come in. We try to tell them that, listen, when you fall in love with a man or whatever, are you getting just, because I'll tell you the questions that we get. I mean, it's a forum. Luke, no man is going to love me with a scar on my breast. Luke, no man is going to love me knowing that this is surgery done. Okay. And I'm like, you know, are you in a relationship because of your breasts? And we try to counsel them and lead them and coach them to say, you want to be loved and valued as a woman. Yes, the world is shallow, no doubt. They will look at your physical self. They will look at your breasts and all of that stuff. But beyond that, what is it that you want to be loved for? Your breast, because your breast will change after pregnancy. Your breast will change as you age. So we try. It's a gentle process, but it works beautifully. I'm not saying it's easy, but it works. But we have to start somewhere. And it starts off with coaching them and family support and everything else together. The support of the doctors, telling them that we've seen patients who have gone through this and they're living beautiful lives today. You know, so I think a lot of patients heal through storytelling, and storytelling is very, very powerful. So that's what we do basically over and above the nutrition and everything else. Yeah.
Excellent. And I think Dr. Kajal is also mentioning in the chat box, in India, sometimes, there are two things we face with counseling. If we do try to get formal counseling, that never ever really works. People think, why? I don't need, my family can help me.
Yeah.
But I think the carers, the people who are looking after the cancer patients, also need that kind of emotional support, and also that kind of teaching as to what the cancer patient in the family needs with regards to diet and emotional support, which I think which we sometimes fail at miserably, because we counsel the patient is she goes home into an environment which is not conducive to keep that stress away for her healthy living. So I think when we talk of this, it has to be in context of counseling the family, and
Absolutely.
and not just the patient. I think that's really important. So we talk about cultivating hope and cultivating belief, because that at the end of the day, it all boils down to that life is about living it with hope, isn't
Absolutely.
it? I have this saying on my wall in my clinic, which says, faith sees the invisible, believes the incredible, and receives the impossible. And I think this hope and faith is what keeps life going. So how do you help practice visualization when somebody is stuck with breast cancer? How do you practice visualization of hope and belief?
I think that's a beautiful question, because we are huge on this, because we've literally seen patients transform and their treatments work better for them as well. So we have to understand, without hope, we're literally dead, not physically dead. We're dead to life. We always have hope that the sun will rise tomorrow, and it'll rise and we get up. So we all live with hope. Now, what happens with cancer? I think because a lot of people read up and a lot of people see cancer as a death sentence, which is absolutely wrong. They lose all hope. They lose hope, or they put too much of hope in the wrong things. Like I always say, there is false hope, which is a fraud, where people try to say that, hey, take this vaccine, your cancer will disappear. Eat this magic herb, your cancer will disappear. It doesn't exist on this planet. I will tell you that. You need to put your hope in life around you. Okay. Like I said, when I did my last talk at a university in the US, I gave them an example. There are 100 best breast cancer patients, stage 2, ER positive, all getting the same treatments, but you have 90 different results. What does this tell you? That every human being is unique and individual. Okay, the treatment may be the same, but your body type, based on your previous lifestyle, based on how you looked after yourself, based on what you're doing during your treatment, that gives us hope that I can do something differently. When you look at millions of survivors around the world who have survived the worst cancers when they were given 1 week to live, 2 weeks to live, and did it, what does that give us again? Hope that, hey, otherwise there would be no hope. If every patient of breast cancer dies, there'll be no hope. But that's not the truth. There are different treatments, different doctors with different perspectives, the way they handle their patients, the relationships with their, this is beyond medicine. And it makes a huge difference in your healing. There is always hope. And there is fake hope where people try to sell you something saying, I will take away your cancer. That is a fraud. That is absolutely false hope. But the day we give up on hope, I can guarantee you no doctor can save you. No nutritionist can save you. You have to believe that your body has the ability to help you get better. Now, there is destiny, which is not in our control. You, me, none of us know what's going to happen in the next second. But we're not supposed to move into the unknown. That's not our job. That is destiny. Keep it aside and move into the world where what is in your control? What is in your control? And you will find there are so many low-hanging fruits that most patients never use. They never use. Now, imagine if you could start using it. That is hope. Now, every religion, I like to talk spirituality, not religion, but every religion, be it, Islam, Hinduism, the Catholic Bible, they have one commonality. They say your prayer with faith and belief and then surrender. Don't try to do God's work by worrying, okay? And this is my honest advice to everyone. A lot of us say, oh, we're religious, we do pujas, we light candles, we do all of these things. Once you say your prayer with faith and belief that you will be looked after, your job is to surrender. If you try to micromanage, it means you don't have faith. It means you don't have belief, and what we don't have belief in never works. I can tell you that. That is the power of the subconscious mind. So it doesn't mean you won't worry. You'll still be worried, but worrying and micromanaging your problems are two very, very different things. So if you've selected your doctor, blind faith in your doctor, ask whatever questions you want to your nutritionist, whatever and stuff like that. But now you have to have faith in your body that your body is going to heal you. So hope, faith, and belief are the most powerful drugs I have seen on this planet. I'm not going to say it's more powerful than chemo because you cannot compare apples and oranges, but it is so powerful. I have patients who have healed and they know it, and I know it. They've taken chemo, radiation, but I know it's their mind and their belief and their faith that has gotten them through the entire treatment. So that is something that is free. It exists. Now, why do we find it difficult to have faith and belief? Because as human beings, we're already scared of disappointment. What if it doesn't happen? That's not your worry right now. A lot of things in life will not happen your way. But remember, I like to tell people, imagination is so powerful, but too many people imagine the worst. You get nothing out of imagining the worst. So put all that energy into imagining the best. Because if anyone can tell me that you get something out of imagining the worst, okay, then say it right now. There is nothing you get, but there's everything that you get out of imagining the best. So we need to put that energy into imagining the best out of our treatment, the best out of our surgery. I know you'll be scared of surgery. If I had to go for surgery tomorrow, I'll be scared. I don't like the thought of someone cutting into me, but okay, it's happening for my own good. Let me imagine the best. So we have to live our lives imagining the best. When I take that hormone replacement drug, when I'm taking my tamoxifen, let me imagine the best of the treatment, not the worst. Why are you imagining the worst if you got to take it? It's not getting you anything. So your mindset, hope, belief, and faith is magic. It's something I call beyond medicine, and it's very powerful.
That's so important and powerful. And I think that's one place we as allopaths sometimes fail our patients, because this kind of talk about faith and belief in treatments is so important. I remember one stage 4 breast cancer patient who'd gone through 35 cycles of chemo, was not likely to survive, was in the ICU. And the next morning when I came and I saw her husband outside my clinic, I was expecting the worst. And he looks at me and he laughs. He says, "You people don't have faith in your treatments. Yamraj had come to take her last night. I held his hand and I said, Himmat hai to le jaake dikhao." That woman is now 9 years post-treatment and cancer-free. And I know its faith has done more for her than our treatments have. So,
Absolutely, doctor.
So, Luke, before we go on to the next question, because we're getting a lot of questions on this, is it okay if I kind of put this?
Please, whatever question you have, please ask me any question.
Because no talk about breast cancer can be complete without talking about milk, without talking about
I would like to talk about it.
So I really want you to just talk briefly about milk, because patients ask us this all the time, and as a mother of a young teenage girl, I am so scared of milk that for the past 4 years I refuse to give her milk, because that's my little understanding. So could you please talk about it?
Okay, so I think the confusion has come with a lot of books and this whole veganism come, and I respect every book and everything written, but we should always use our common sense, okay? If milk really caused cancers and all these cancers, people would have had it a long time ago. It is the quality of milk. 70 to 80% of the samples in India are adulterated. The cows are pumped with hormones and antibiotics. Now, if estrogen gets into the milk that you consume, we have a big problem, okay? So the right quality of milk is absolutely okay. But now again, let me put a disclaimer. If the patient has a lactose intolerance, okay, and still consuming milk, that's going to mess up the patient's gut, which in turn is going to affect hormone regulation, immunity, constipation, bowel movement, everything that we want working perfectly in a body that's already sick. So number one, we prefer people to use A2 milk, which is the Indian cow milk, not the Jersey cow. The Jersey cow is not made for the Indian gene, period. Okay. Number two, your source of your milk is so important for you. If your milk even contains a trace of estrogen, why are all the young girls reaching early puberty these days? It's the milk source. You cut away the milk, you see a complete change in that. So cows are pumped with estrogen to lactate more, because milk is a commodity that, is huge in our country. How do you get the cow to pump more milk? Because they fall sicker faster, they're also pumped with antibiotics. There are traces of antibiotics and estrogen in that milk. We consume the milk, it gets into our systems, explaining a lot of the issues that we have in today's world. So if we can get A2 milk, and like I said, milk is a class A protein. It is something fabulous for someone going through chemo and radiation, subject to you not having an intolerance to it. Because if you're lactose intolerant, and like I said, a lot of people pop antacids and deal with the symptom, you're making your condition worse. Now, better than milk would be convert the lactose into lactase. Have it in the form of buttermilk, chas, yogurt. So you're using it as a probiotic. It's easily digestible. Lactose is a little more hard to digest. in a body that's already weak because of the treatment. But if your body, like I said, everyone's unique and different. If your body can break down milk, good quality milk the right way, please consume it. But take responsibility for the right source and the quality. In case milk bloats you up, then try yogurt, try buttermilk, try chas, have your paneer, but again, made with the right quality of milk. Now, a lot of patients get off milk and they feel, oh, I feel better and I feel whatever. So listen to your body. If you think being off milk suits you, absolutely not an issue. But you do not have to deprive your children from it. Get the right quality of milk and they can have it. So always when there's a fear, we must ask questions as human beings. Why is milk bad? Why is this bad? Why is that bad? A lot of people say, I'm making almond milk, cashew milk. I have no problem with that. But don't think you can compare it with actual dairy milk. The nutritional value is completely different. Okay, so it's an informed decision that you make. I can't stand and say milk is great for cancer. No, it's wrong for me to say that. But if you like milk, it suits you. It's a beautiful class A protein. It's a healing food in Ayurveda as well. Get the right quality of milk and have it the right way.
You know, now that is where the problem starts, because, you know, milk industry and food industry have, you know, it is an industry. They have to produce it to the numbers and to the volumes to be able to mass supply. So, you know, when we talk of A2 milk, everybody then asks, now where do I get this milk from? You know, and what I have started telling my patients is it's your local doodhwala. You know, for small cities, it's not difficult for them to get it. But in larger cities, you know, we can talk about A2 milk, but it's actually not easy to get. And if they do get it, it's prohibitively expensive, isn't it?
So doctor, I'll tell you what we've done for that. You know, we've created a network across the country, and we'll share that link with you. We built something called like a wellness space where we have connected with every possible farmer, dairy producer. We have got their certifications verified to the best of our ability. Now, someone's created a fraud and that is not within our control. But right across Delhi, Hyderabad, Bombay, all of these places, we have tried to list these vendors who are doing authentic milk. And like you rightly said, your smallest vendor in your city will have the most authentic milk. The bigger vendors may or may not have the best quality milk. Now, yes, A2 is a little more pricey, no doubt, but we're trying to change that with the government in India right now. We're trying to get consumers to support the right foods. When you support the right foods, the prices come down. You know, when you term something as organic, the prices automatically go high. So we're trying to get people, if you support, like right now, I'm living in a village. I'm in Goa right now, living in a village. I couldn't get the right quality of milk. I went down to the village, went to a cow shed and told this guy, my family wants milk every single day. So he started supplying us. Every day he's getting his money. Now the houses around have also started the same thing. So by supporting one vendor, he's now built a community of people. And we, as all of us, as patients, as doctors, we have to support the right things in our country for it to grow. So we got to support farmers. We got to support milk that is being ethically done. And we are trying to make that right network and share it with everyone. So I will drop you a link after this, doctor. We have connections in Gurgaon, all of that stuff. And it is cheaper because we've cut out the middleman. There is no middleman. So the farmer or the milk vendor and the patient is connected directly. And today we have almost all of our patients consuming A2 milk. Now, if you look at Bangalore, we do a lot of work with Gurudev at the Sri Ravi Shankar Foundation. They have their own cows and the entire villages around that get a supply of A2 milk, which is even cheaper than Norman milk. So if we work as a society to create these things, and everyone's needed to do that role, including our patients, we can build a sustainable food chain in our country at the right price.
Excellent. So I think if you share that with us, we can, share it on. So one is the talk around milk and the other is the talk around soya, which invariably does pop up, you know, when we're talking of. Now, I don't know how much of this is true, but because China has one of the lowest, rates of breast cancer. And I was reading up on a few studies which said that the soya that is given to girls around the pre-puberty time is known to kind of balance your hormones in a way that reduces the risk later on. But for patients who are already diagnosed with ER-positive breast cancer, we keep hearing this, that, and the other about soya products. So could you just very briefly, shed some light on that?
Sure, doctor. So doctor, we don't allow our patients to have soy when they have an ER positive because the data and the research is very conflicting. Some of them show that phytoestrogens are great and some of them show very conflicting. So I like to go back to our basics. See, when we look at Filipinos, they have rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they have the lowest count of diabetes. If we did that in India, diabetes would spike up. Genetically, we are very different from Chinese people and Filipinos and all of that stuff. Soy is not local to our country. it's not local to us. I would try to keep us to more local. I would never add soy to a patient's life because, they say, but Luke, what about protein? There are loads of other Indian foods without a protein shake where we can actually boost up protein. So I would keep soy completely out. We don't, there's a whole thing on flax seeds as well. So we try to keep flax seeds to a minimum as well because it is a phytoestrogen. So we try to keep it to max 1 tablespoon a day, although some people like to have 3, 4 a day. So we say what we don't understand, do in moderation. But I am not a fan of soy because the same way it helps China, it put the US through the worst phase of breast cancer about 14 years ago when the soy industry exploded. But that was obviously because of genetically modified soy. We have more genetically modified soy. It's a huge issue for estrogen buildup in the body. So soy doesn't have to be the main food. We have loads of Indian foods that resemble soy in terms of protein. So I don't prefer soy at all for our patients.
Local and seasonal and fresh is always the buzzword.
It's always the best.
Yes,
yeah.
What your dadi nani ate is best for you. So while we are on these kind of myths and fads that we always get asked about, there's always this talk about water and some Japanese company doing some kind of alkaline water, Kingana or something it's called. So would you like to also talk to us about that, and also just as a continuation, a quick brief about pesticides and insecticides on our food, because that is my biggest pet peeve. I firmly believe that they act as endocrine mimickers and they are possibly responsible for this spike that we are seeing. So if you could just talk briefly about that to us, please.
Sure. So like I said, there's no magic water. And this whole thing of raising the alkaline levels of your body to 9 and 11, you have to go back to science. There's no living organism on this planet that requires a pH of more than 8. There is no organism that requires a pH of more than 8. Secondly, we forget that our own bodies have a pH regulator. If we try to become too alkaline by drinking this alkaline water, we're creating a big problem because our stomachs are supposed to maintain acid levels when we're eating. Our bladder is supposed to be acidic. Our skin has to rotate between being acidic and alkaline. So if I'm trying to become alkaline, there are certain functions in my body that have to be acidic at any given point. So we upset this entire pH regulator and we create more problems. Now, the simplest way to make your diet alkaline is, let's say I'm having an Indian meal. Let's say I'm having a khichdi for lunch today. If I have a bowl of cut cucumbers and carrots on the side, I'm making my meal alkaline. An Indian tradition is to sprinkle lemon on our food. That is to make it alkaline. So you see, when we eat a balanced diet, we are already maintaining acidic and alkaline levels. It is very rare in the medical world that we will come across extreme cases of acidosis, where yes, then I would really push someone into very, very high alkaline foods, but not even alkaline water. But those are very rare cases. But for even a normal patient going through cancer, we don't have to assume that alkaline, fad that is coming out. Please don't waste your money on these expensive filters. It is not required. If you take your normal filtered water and put it in an Indian matka, in the mud pot, you are automatically making it alkaline. If I pour out that water in the mud.
Does that include RO water as well?
In fact, RO water must go into a mud pot because otherwise RO water is having an impact on vitamin D3 levels. There is no doubt about that. So that RO water should further go into a mud pot. Now, let's say I pour myself a glass of water and I sprinkle a little bit of lemon in, okay? I'm changing the pH of my water. I'm making it highly alkaline. What are the most alkaline foods? Cucumber, carrot, lemon, if it suits you. Okay, these are alkaline foods, your green leafy vegetables. We don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. So this is a waste of money. I would say that upfront because there is absolutely no science. They're going on a science that alkaline diets reverse cancer. Alkaline diets do not reverse cancer at all. Absolutely not. We got to maintain the pH balance at the right level.
And another thing with sugar, so water, sugar, milk. So a lot of patients, this fear of after being diagnosed with cancer, I know they go off sugar because somebody has told them that cancer cells feed on sugar, and I tell them that every cell in your body needs glucose to function. So whatever you eat is converted into sugar at the cellular level. So would you like to tell us, is sugar totally banned, or is it the white refined sugar we are talking of when we talk of sugar?
We are only talking about white refined sugar. Any patient who comes to me, I tell them up front, your plan is going to be the most simplest and enjoyable plan, but we have to commit on one rule: no white refined sugar, period. That's it. You can have jaggery, Of course, if you have diabetes, be careful of jaggery as well. You can have stevia, you can have raw honey, you can have fruits, which you got to peel because you don't want to have the pesticides getting into your system. We are only talking about white sugar that has the R molecule, where the glucose uptake on a cancer cell is a feeding mechanism, but all other sugars are absolutely okay. So that is a huge myth. The other reason why we stop white refined sugar, of course, I mean, someone wants to have a dessert once in a way, we allow that, is because sugar is highly inflammatory. And remember, we're dealing with an inflammatory condition. We're trying to keep inflammation at its lowest. And sugar is the thing that creates the most inflammation in the body. So these are the main reasons why we work with people. We give them alternatives. So most of them never really miss sugar, and they never really get back to sugar at some point.
Excellent.
So it's like that.
So, while we're on food, and obviously then the next thing is about fasting and how it has been an Indian tradition to fast. And there was this really good article in Nature, I think I read, about the benefit of intermittent fasting for breast cancer patients because it reduces your IGF levels. So, and a lot of patients, because of the treatments and that they're rendered post-menopausal, they do face issues with weight gain. So would you like to, kind of touch briefly upon, I can see the time is running and we have like a million questions to ask you, but would definitely want to, kind of have you talk a little bit about intermittent fasting.
Sure. So Dr. Intermittent fasting is therapeutic. It's sad that people have made it into a fad today. If you use it as a fad, it's going to destroy your health. Like everyone's, hey, I'm on a 16-8. I'm like, why not a 15-9? Why not a 17-8? And they have no answer. I'm like, listen to your body. If we have, like, go back to Jainism in our own country or Indian tradition. If we have an early dinner, let's say we're done at 7. 12 hours later, if we're hungry and we decide to eat breakfast, that 12 hours is more than sufficient as a fast for you. People have made it a game, 18 hours, 19, 20. They don't understand the stress they're putting on their thyroid gland, especially when you're sick, especially when you're going through it. No doubt, I've seen my patients in the US as well, going into fasted states a day before chemotherapy, and they come out phenomenally well with more energy levels. But everyone's different. I've also seen patients who they can't even get through the chemotherapy because they've not eaten. So we should not adopt it blindly. We need to understand that today we're eating too much and too frequently. So we never give our digestive system a break. A normal vegetarian meal takes about 3.5 to 4 hours to break down. A non-vegetarian meal, 6 to 8 hours. All I'm asking people to do is finish an early dinner, okay? And then 12 to 13 hours, that's natural. You will not feel hungry. Wake up, and if you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, delay your breakfast by an hour. That fasting is more than sufficient for everyone. And that's the way humans are designed to live. We're not designed to wake up and have a Netflix snack at 12 in the night and then eat again later and stuff like that. We don't eat according to our body cycles. So post sunset, try to have an early dinner. And in the morning, 12 to 13 hours is therapeutic. Now, there are some cancers which are last stage cancers and metastatic in nature. Yes, I have to say that supervised fasting can be therapeutic, where you do 2 days, 3 days, because by then the patient has lost their appetite and they don't want to eat, they don't want to drink water. So we try to utilize that into fasting, and we have seen phenomenal results, but it has to be supervised, vitals taken. Yeah, absolutely. Has to be, kidney function, creat levels, all of that stuff. We've seen tumors shrink, like literally, and with doctors on board as well. Mm-hmm. So intermittent fasting, don't embrace it as a fad. Do it with understanding that I want to give my system a break from digestion. And that's where you can bring down inflammation, clean out your bowels and all of that stuff. So make an informed decision, but it is super powerful. And if it doesn't suit you, if yours is the body that needs to eat regularly, then that's your body type. Fasting doesn't suit you. Don't do it.
Excellent. So everybody does want you to give us a quick brief about oils and the form of oils to eat. And also there are a lot of questions on the fat content in A2 milk because of, obviously when you get A2 milk, you're getting it from the source, which is not, fat hasn't been reduced. So what would you like to kind of guide?
So the first thing on milk, all the slim milk that you've been drinking for years is way unhealthier than full fat milk. You need to understand that full fat milk is therapeutic for your health. If you compare milk with breast milk is 65% fat. And what does that fat do? It develops your baby. The baby's immune system, the baby's cognitive health, brain cells, neurons, everything else. Fat is not bad. The good quality fat is required for your hormones, for the regulation of your estrogen, for your brain function, for your gut health. The wrong fats, which is your trans fats, your refined fats, your pastries, your chips, all the rubbish fats out there, that is destructive to your health. But what are the good fats in our country? Pure ghee, pure coconut oil, all of your wood churned oils. Remember, originally, people in India, we had wood churned oils, we had milled oils. Your ancestors would go to the mill with the seeds, mill them and get fresh oil. Today, we are taking refined oils. I understand because it's cheaper, but refined oils is slow poison to your inflammatory levels today. So I know cold pressed oils are costing more money, but it doesn't stop us. Even in the heart of Mumbai city, there are mills, and all you need to do is get fresh milled oil from there, which is way cheaper than even cold pressed oil. So we need to change. So whether you're doing your cold pressed or your wood churned mustard oil, whether you're doing coconut oil, whether you're doing your sunflower oil, it must be cold pressed. Refined oils are dangerous for inflammation. You can't go wrong with pure ghee. Everyone thinks pure ghee makes them fat. No, pure ghee doesn't make you fat. Your poor lifestyle makes you fat. Okay. And of course, if you overeat pure ghee too much, but it's a great cooking medium because in India, we tend to cook our food at a high temperature. The best oils are the best oils that are local for a high temperature. The biggest mistake people make in India is cooking Indian food with olive oil. Please understand the amount of inflammation you will create in your body is tremendous, tremendous. The amount of free radicals. Olive oil, if you're using it, it is to add raw to a salad, a very light saute, which doesn't exist, unfortunately, in Indian food. So use Indian fat mediums to cook Indian food, period. Olive oil can be added raw to your salads. So understand all of these things are marketing, things that say, oh, there's an Indian olive oil, which you can cook. No, it is altered. It is processed to increase the temperature, which means it's gone through a lot of RBD procedures. It is bad for you. So go back to your basics. What did your parents and parents use in an oil medium? Use that.
Thank you. There's been somebody's asking about gluten-free diet during chemo. A lot of patients are actually asking about that. So
okay. So if you're gluten intolerant and celiac, you have to be off gluten. There's no doubt. Now, if you're going through a lot of side effects, definitely stopping gluten may help you because gluten is an inflammatory food. Okay. So it removes inflammation from your gut. So you can better assimilate, digest, especially if you're going through the constipation, loose motion kind of side effects. Get off gluten for a while. Replace it with jowar, bajra, white rice. There are loads of grain which are gluten-free. So I would put people off gluten-free, but there are some patients who enjoy it and they have no side effects. So I don't stop it for them. Everyone is unique and individual.
Yes, I think these fad diets about gluten-free and only keto and only this and that, and what we have to, and you know what, all the things that we have spoken about, at the end of the day, everybody wants to know, if I had cancer, how can I reduce the risk of developing cancer? And I think all of the things that you've mentioned now all go towards that. Is there anything specific that you would like to kind of guide us on?
Yep, 2 words. If you are looking at preventing your cancer from coming back, number 1, do not stop your medication that your doctors have given you. We've seen too many patients stop the medications, especially tamoxifens and whatever your aromatase inhibitors and stuff like that. Do not stop it. If you're going through side effects, it can be managed. Speak to your doctor, speak to your team. It can be managed. But if you just stop it in between, okay, you can get your secondary cancer very, very rapidly. Number 2, remember 2 words, inflammation and immunity. You got to keep your immune system strong and you got to keep inflammation low. For that, it's every point I spoke about, from your emotional wellness to your sleep, to your diet, to your lifestyle, to the environment around you, the environment inside. That is what boosts our immune systems and keeps inflammation low. So we got to maintain that. Remember, once a cancer is out of your body and you're in remission, it's great, celebrate it. It's a beautiful time to celebrate, but still know that the 6 months and 8 months after that are still critical for you. Because we all know that chemo doesn't have to get every cell, which is why you're asked to come back for a PET scan later. And there is a certain amount of monitoring. Do not miss those tests. It is extremely important for you to get your scans done when your doctor tells you to do that. So that is part of prevention from the next cancer coming. 3, if you live in fear post your first cancer, oh no, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. Like I said, your thoughts become reality. Okay. So you have to realize that I've beaten this once. I'm going to do the right things and make sure this doesn't come back. And if it comes back, we go through the process of fighting it again. Okay, so these are the main things. Take it easy when you get it, but more fear creates more disease. I can tell you that for sure.
Excellent. Should we just wind up the session with just a quick word from you on things like when we talk of anti-cancer, as you were saying, there is no such specific multivitamin which is anti-cancer, but vitamin B17, apricot seeds, bitter foods. There are all sorts of things in the market out there. Just kind of quickly, if you want to run us through.
So there are a lot of good things. The problem is when someone makes a claim that this is going to take away your cancer. It doesn't exist. I can promise you that. If it existed, there wouldn't be cancer in the world. No matter how expensive the treatment were, people would have figured out money to get the treatment. It does not exist. Now, yes, we understand everything is multifactorial, that today we're seeing more and more research, thanks to the COVID in a way, how vitamin D3 and the immune system are so solidly connected. So that's something that we can work on. You have a deficiency, fix it. Okay, there are vitamin C's and zinc. They all play a role, but they are not powerful enough alone to take away your cancer. Like I said, if the disease is multifactorial, you need a multifactorial approach. There cannot be one thing that addresses a multifactorial condition. B17 is existent in apricot seeds. Apricot seeds are consumed very, very heavily in Afghanistan and the Hanza Valley and even in Kashmir. It's great for your immunity, but you cannot take apricot seeds and say it's going to replace my chemotherapy. Nothing exists. There is no replacement. Chemo has its own role. There cannot be a food that works like chemotherapy. There are articles that ginger is 10,000 times more powerful than chemotherapy and stuff. No, ginger is great for you, but it is not a replacement. You cannot compare apples and oranges. So I think we have to all think with clarity when people try to push you these things. No, finally, you need to enable your own body. Like if my body's digestive system is weak, I know digestion controls immunity. So instead of taking more vitamin C, let me try to sort out my digestive system so my own immune system can be enhanced and harnessed. That's how we got to think. The body is a very, very complicated yet intelligent machinery. I would like to end by reminding each and every one of us and all of y'all that the same intelligence and power that gave birth to us, this incredible thing called life, is the same intelligence and power that has the ability to also help us recover. And then there's destiny on the other side. Let's invest in that. Hope, belief, everything that doctor said, it's an integrative approach. Each system cannot work alone. Chemo cannot work alone without the patient cooperating and changing their lifestyle. Food cannot work alone without the patient not taking the right treatment and not cooperating. So that is why it is called integrative. You know, you are a complex individual, come with a particular problem. Now, experts have to look at that problem from all their levels of expertise and decide what is the best for you. But there is no magic drug or there is no magic treatment.
Excellent. That was such a wonderful session. And I tell everybody that, I have learned more sitting in my clinic, from patients and from these, approaches more than I have learned from my own surgical textbooks, because these play such an important role. And I really want to thank you for coming on and giving such valuable information to everybody. This has been such an excellent session. Thank you so much, Luke. Keep doing the good work you're doing. And also for reinforcing that early detection and timely treatments cannot be done away with just by eating magical pills and this fad of magic diets. So, and also for those who feel overwhelmed, for new cancer patients, they feel so overwhelmed with so much knowledge on diet. The only thing is, don't change everything overnight. Take it easy.
Step by step.
If you feel like eating your pastry and your gulab jamun, please do that, because food at the end of the day is supposed to nourish your soul as well. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for attending. Thank you, River Root.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.